Awesome. Thank you everyone for coming, and thank you for putting up with our little bit of chitter chatter here at the beginning. We're really excited to have you all here, and again, super excited to be also at Junkyard Social Club. Thank you to these guys for having us. So just in case you all didn't know already, today is the launch of the Streetwise Arts Annual Mural Festival, and we have incredible artists here with us today that are all working on projects for the festival. Our festival this year is super special as we are incorporating AR and digital components into all the murals. So hopefully we're improving creativity for the artists and creating a greater impact with each of the murals. We are going to be talking today about how our Artivists are connecting environmental and social issues with their culture and communities. And by doing this, they are creating a greater impact, telling great stories, and finding, hopefully, better solutions to all our issues. So I'm just going to give you a very brief intro about each of our artists. We have A.L. Grime. She is a Denver-based mural artist and designer. She utilizes a great amount of tech to make an impact with her work. And she is going to be creating a project for the mural festival that is meant to empower women in STEM. So we're going to get to hear more about that from her. Then we have Jessica Moon here with us. She is a Boulder County-based artist out of the Netherlands, multimedia artist that does a lot of work focusing around environmental issues and climate change. And her mural for the festival is also going to be focused on that. So we'll get to hear more about her work, and you also might have seen her in some of our favorite museums and galleries around Boulder. And then we also have Ciara here with us. She is also a Denver-based artist that believes that art has the capacity to transcend cultural barriers. We're super excited to have her here. She is going to be working on a project for the mural festival this year about food security in the Black community. And then we also have Cante with us. She is a Denver-based artist and a full-time tattooer, and she is creating a painting for the mural festival this year that is going to be focusing on climate change and how the North American tribes are affected and also changing along with it and finding solutions for climate change. So enough of me talking. I'm excited to hear these artists talk. So first off, I would love just to hear from all of you how you feel about how Artivism is changing and evolving and why it's important to you. And if you want to tell us a little bit about yourselves along the way, that would be fantastic.
So I think that activism kind of is intrinsic in art, particularly in street art. We look at artists like Bay, who have always kind of had this message, paved a large path for the rest of us to have careers in this. And so I think not everyone maybe would agree with me, but I think as artists, we are blessed with a reason in their life that most people don't get to have. And so it's our social responsibility to use this platform that we're given that brings us be able to give back to the communities that we serve. In street art, I think it's super important for us as artists to actually give back to the communities that we're bringing art into, because they're giving us space, they're giving us their attention and a platform to create. And so it's important that we remember and be responsible with our messages and, make sure that the thing that we're placing, in that community is enlightening and expanding instead of just consuming.
Amazing. Thank you, Alex. Jessica, tell us what you think.
Yeah, I think art is important as a tool for activism because it goes beyond boundaries, so it's very global and people from many cultures and languages understand or try to understand just the visual aspect of it. And maybe just to bring a lot of questions to the mind as well. That's my question. Either papers.
Say all I think they already said, but yeah, I think it's just so important to use whatever talent you have to impact your communities and whatever cause you believe in. For us as artists of visual communication, and that is a you know, an honor, and we need to use that to you know, benefit our community.
Kind of same thing, a lot of repeats, but a lot of people I think aren't really able to communicate or like visually or boldly, so by helping kind of put the message out there, other people can help raise awareness, but almost like repeating it, really seeking focus nowadays. Another thing we can see changing now, people can have murals that move and maybe display like a message better than a still one, but yeah.
Awesome, thanks, Cante. So, Allie, I know your project is centered around empowering women in STEM, which I believe is an incredible way where we can make an impact in changing some of these other environmental and social issues we're going to talk about today. You want to tell us a little bit about why this is important to you, what sort of change you would like to see, and then also, I know you have a great tech background as an artist, so maybe a little bit about how you use tech in your art to create your messaging about empathy and unity.
So I originally was going to paint a different mural that encapsulated a female astronaut from South America. But in my research, I typed into Google women in AI, and the question that the algorithm gave me was, can girls do artificial intelligence? And this for me is so ironic that in this moment where I'm trying to research women in STEM, an algorithm is actually telling me that women can't do it. And so you know, the second question was, why are there no women in artificial intelligence? And this for me was like, so I opened, so I changed my mural to show an actual screenshot of that Google search that I had done, and then fell into this deep rabbit hole of something I already am passionate about, with data ethics, but then understanding how women play a role within data ethics. Only 12% of AI researchers are women, and the number is declining. And I think it can be a concept that's hard for people to grasp, but almost everything we do every day, the food you eat, the information that you get, is controlled by an algorithm. And those algorithms in this moment are intrinsically racist, homophobic, they're sexist, and it's because the people who are feeding that data, the table that they sit at is not diverse. It's predominantly controlled by older white men. And so for me, it's incredibly important to create art that informs people that this is happening, to let people know that data is our most important resource in this moment. It's the thing that controls our lives. And if it's not ethical, if it's not diverse, and if we aren't bringing different perspectives to the table that control that information, we're actually building a really unequitable future for ourselves. And so most of my work is focused on encouraging more young women to enter STEM fields. Women are more likely to choose an empathetic approach to art. In fact, in the last 5 years, the majority of female executives in artificial intelligence have been fired for asking for more ethical approaches. These are in companies like Google, Amazon, Deloitte, the people that are really controlling our information. They're removing women from the table because they're asking these questions. And so I'm here asking the same question. and hoping that, young women will pass by. I actually had, a man and his daughter walk by today and asked me if my girl was inspired by the movie Code of Bias, which it is. So it's very cool to see little girls that are interested in this stuff, and I hope that when they see the question on the wall, can girls do artificial intelligence, that they look it up and then maybe they get interested in it.
Awesome. I'm blown away. I'm really actually glad that you changed your project. As you've been telling me about this, I cannot believe that that's the person that came up on the research. So I'm really excited. Thanks for sharing. So Jessica, I know, so your mural project for this year's festival is going to be focused around climate change, and we're going to bring in some elements of indigenous communities and endangered species here in Boulder County. Is that right?
Yeah.
So while I've been researching you, I found that you use a ton of different media and materials to create your art, which is all pretty centered around environmental issues. I was wondering if you would talk to us about how you choose the media that you use and how you're using different materials to help get your message across. And then what that looks like a little bit for this year.
I guess I've always been an environmentalist, and I started doing my artwork out in the world after I spent about 3 years living in Mongolia. And it was just a place that really influenced my life and my art now. And when I came back, I did a whole series on endangered animals. And I painted for maybe like 10 years, and I was getting tired of painting, so I did a workshop in sculpture. And when I was in the sculpture building, actually was when I did a residency in the University Ranch, and I was kind of at an artist, like terrible artist block. So I went to this spot that I ended up in a dinner tube, and I'm a cyclist, so those just jumped out at me, and I started cutting them up and then fixing them to the wall, and then that became a medium that I used when I built a large installation where I could have 10,000 of my inner tubes that were punctured off the used. And then and then at the same time I found a bunch of plastic bags. And so I've been making inflatables out of plastic shopping bags, using them together to make different features of the animals. And then that's I've kind of gotten back into 2D work again, and that's heavily influenced by the environment and the state of the planet right now and climate change. So for this year's mural, I'm taking data from the average temperature change from 1850 all the way to 2021, and it's represented by colors. So it will be blue or red, basically, with a lot of stripes. And then cheap nylon. So I've been thinking, like, I didn't want to just have the stripes, so I think what else would work here. And then I started cheap nylon just popped into my head. I thought it was first. And I remembered it as once you come with Boulder, you're never going to leave. And so I Googled that, and it came up that wasn't really what it was. It was the people that come here will be the undoing of the county, the Boulder landscape, because of the white settlers coming in. So I thought that would be interesting, because I don't think a lot of people know, like they know the town of Niwot, but they don't know why. They might not even know the chief Niwot, or know that he was known as left hand candidate. And then I'm going to have some favorite Steve as well.
Awesome, thank you. I'm excited to see the mural. I think that Chief Niwot and the city of Niwot, there's a lot of indigenous information that comes up in Boulder. That's just like the names are part of things we see here every day, but we don't always get the stories about them. Ciara, so let's break down these cultural barriers with your project here. Could you tell us a little bit just about how you have seen food insecurity in your community, how it's affected you, and how that experience and your personal outlook is helping you to create your art, as well as maybe give us all some information about how it can help you create an impact.
Yeah, I am excited to kind of bring awareness to this issue. The reason that it's important to me, is that, you know, food security is such an issue in the Black community, across the United States especially, and, I've had, family members pass away from diabetes, heart disease, and all kinds of illnesses. You know, led by the food that was so common in our communities. So I decided to use this topic for my mural, and also, you know, that experience has led me to choose veganism as a lifestyle, and, you know, way of eating, that kind of this radical act of self-care, and also this protest against these systems that are designed to, you know, give me unhealthy food. So that's why I chose this topic for my mural, but I didn't even realize that yesterday they were going to have a conference in the White House about nutrition and health, and, you know, they felt this plan is going to expand some of the, you know, like the SNAP program and food stamps, incentivize people to buy healthy food and all of that. But to me, that's really the bare minimum. I feel like it would be better to address why these people are put in these positions in the first place, that they need these programs. And yeah, so anyway, that's why I chose this. And Black Americans are actually almost 3 times more likely to be vegan because of this. And I just think it's important to spread awareness about how, you know, the systems are set up where, you know, our communities don't even have access. Some of them don't even have access to clean water. They're like in dark communities. We have power plants in our communities, like in Pennsylvania, and, you know, there's just this blatant disregard for Black lives and our health. So that's my message. For my mural, I'm doing this figure. She kind of has that her fist up, you know, like Black power, but then in her hand and our vegetable, which she kind of created from all these healthy foods. So in my work, I really like to focus on the positive. I'm very inspired by Afrofuturism and just working towards this future where we are able to thrive and, you know, reach our highs.
Awesome. Thank you. It's amazing to hear everyone's personalized story that is like think about systematic inequality and think about environmental issues and how and all these environmental issues, yes, they're affecting all of us, but they're not necessarily affecting all of us equally. And so I'm really happy to share this. Cante, will you share with us a little bit about, so I know your mural is also going to be focused around climate change as a part of the Cheyenne River Stew Tribe, correct? So you have a little bit of background and grew up with a different perspective based on your heritage and culture and some of the lessons you learned growing up about how to take care of the planet and how to take care of the animals and the plants around us. And so I'm interested to hear how your community and your culture growing up have affected your creative process for this mural and your outlook on how climate change is affecting the North American tribes specifically.
I guess the first part, with growing up, I was going to go with stories about how we should be respectful for all of your relatives, which like can be your four-legged relatives, or your two-legged relatives, so the animals, the birds. Same goes with plants, like never take more than what you take, always give back in the way, so if you're gonna like harvest from a plant, obviously. Like, you can throw down some tobacco or like even seeds to kind of like help it grow back or like. But moving from that and really growing up in the community with my friends, I've always just saw like. You share your wealth by giving away more than like what the things that you have. Instead of just like hoarding it, which I feel like you see like a lot nowadays, but people tend to like hoard food or like take more than like what they should. And I feel like it's kind of like a lot of the issues of like why we have climate change. And then my mural kind of touches on how tribes have through a few generations with climate change. It's kind of like not the first time that we've seen like I guess temperature spikes like this and have to make adjustments. So like up in the corner you'll see tribes kind of working with like plans and like rebuilding and like adding on like land growth. And then like down below that you'll see kind of like corn, squash, and beans, plants growing in harmony. You'll see some like migratory pollinators and flowers and plants that can benefit them. Just like everything kind of working in harmony. And they'll have like a little bit of like touch of the pleasure and it kind of going back to my heritage and just like playing. But
Amazing, thanks for sharing, thanks everyone for also being willing to pass this microphone. So I'm really excited to see all these murals before that end of this panel. I would love for everyone to also share like over the weekend while the festival's happening, where they can find you, so that now that they've heard about what your murals are about, what your message is, everyone can check it out when they're finished. But beyond your topics that you are focusing on for this mural, I would love to hear a little bit more about just what causes in general you're really fired up about right now, and how people can support you and support those causes, whether they be activists or community organizers or other artists or just anyone in the community that wants to help support causes that we're all passionate about. And also whoever is ready,
So most of the things that I focus on are more tech focused. I'm really focused on futurism, which really marries thought like ways of the past and combining them with future ways of thinking so that we can return to a more sustainable, equitable future for everyone. The way that we're, treating the earth, the way that we're overpopulating, the way that, we have people living without food. All of these things are things that challenge our ability to exist as humans for an extended amount of time. So while my work is tech focused, it also calls in sustainability. I also live a vegetarian lifestyle for my health, but also because I care about the earth, or just how we treat each other as human beings. All of these things, I think, are things that are so interlinked. And so whether your focus is on a smaller piece of that or on the larger part of it, I think everything that we're talking about is truly intrinsically linked together and really just is a call for action for change so that we can continue to extend this earth for future generations. Within my own work, within my own focus, I really focus on data, on equitable technology opportunities for others, and then also on using art as kind of a Trojan horse to these things. I think people are very overwhelmed by what technology is and understanding what is code and what are all these things that are happening around us. But using augmented reality, future technologies within artwork, we're actually able to give people this bite-sized look at how looking towards futurism can actually create something that changes your perspective and then therefore helps you take different approaches to how we handle both relationships with one another and our relationship with the earth. Yeah, I think in terms of causes, anything that's protecting our water is essential because we need it. But beyond that, you know, I think education is at the core of the largest problem that we're facing. People just are not aware of any of these issues because they're not receiving that. So seeking ways to give back to anything that is creating equitable foundations for education is the most important thing that we can do so that people are aware and that we're able to kind of build a better world together.
Amazing, I love that. I think that really touches on the core of our conversation, like, we can't silo these issues anymore. All of these environmental issues are also affecting social issues, and everything is all tied together. I love that. Does anyone else have some thoughts?
I think just for people who feel like these issues are so large that they can't do anything, like that one person can make a difference. I would say to those people to start in your inner circles. You know, education is a huge aspect of that. So if there is one of these issues that you're truly passionate about, please talk about it. And if we all kind of did that in our little circles, then we can change the world. So never think that you know, an issue is too large to tackle and that you can't make a difference, because even if you're putting up a mural in Boulder and if people walk by and see it, that's helping. So I just want to
Awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. So in a second, I want to open it up for a couple questions. If anyone has any questions or anything they would like to know about the artist or the causes. But first, I was hoping maybe we'll just do a quick little lightning round. Could you all give some advice or some tips to any other artivists out there that want to make an impact on their community?
I think what Ciara just said is right on the money, like start small, don't be afraid to make your small impact. And I know for me, I very recently started painting real women in STEM who are alive doing their work today. And I look to them as my heroes, so they seemed like these far off creatures. But I just DM them on Instagram and I talk to them all the time now. They're educating me constantly. And so slide into people's DMs. And when it comes to these topics, education, bettering the world, connecting on a human level, more often than not, unless you're DMing Justin Bieber, they're probably going to respond. And if Justin Bieber responds to you, congrats.
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said, and I'm also an educator. I teach art at an elementary school, and I see a lot of kids that come in from different backgrounds and social economic backgrounds, and I feel like education definitely is the way to go to help people realize what's going on.
You are.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I think for artists who want to make a difference, I think sometimes artists can get trapped in this idea of making art that they think that people want to see. But it's so important to make art that people need to see. So I think that, yeah, use your talent. You know, some people are brilliant leaders, other people are great at coordinating, whatever it may be, like see how you can move that.
I guess a big tip is just always stop holding yourself back. That's definitely a big thing that I've had to learn. I tend to be the only person that like tells you that I'm not able to do something, and then when other people see it, they compliments, or they tell me that it makes them feel a certain emotion, which ends up making me feel better and pushing me to do more than my skills kind of required, so. I guess the biggest tip is just stop standing with others.
Everyone could get out of their own way, we'd probably all get less than a for sure. Does anyone who's here with us in person, thank you guys so much, I really appreciate you all being here. Does anyone have any questions for any of the artists?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Jessica, I just wanted to put my daughter, ABS, on climate change art, and Anderson Ranch, she teaches at CCA. So we're learning, ABS. Yeah. You know CCA, California College of the Arts and Arts.
Yeah, not super familiar.
She did the residency at Anderson Ranch. Is that what you're doing with her?
Yeah, it was wild.
That first was wild, too. At least 5 and 7 years ago. Yeah, when I was at
So, this year I noticed a big part of the AI part of it, or not AI, or, yeah, augmented reality AR. How, for Ally in particular, or any, what are the main reasons you think this enhances the movement, street art movement?
So I started using augmented reality to further the narrative of what I was trying to say. I used it for the first time at Fresh Walls a few years ago. I partnered with a musician named Ciara, who wrote a song called I Am Her. That's just about empowering women in creative spaces to take a seat at the table and demand respect. Because we put in the same amount of work and we deserve the exact same thing back. So to be able to put her song directly over it and animate it and make it exciting was one piece of it. And I wanted people to hear that song and hear her lyrics. But beyond that, it's that Trojan horse. I want people to understand that technology isn't scary and that actually it's really fun and that you can have a good time doing something that's advanced and that in a small way is helping to change your perspective of the kind of people.
Does that answer your question or give you some things to think about for AR? Awesome. What do you think about it?
I was just curious about if you could, I mean, what are the challenges? Like, so everybody here makes art that, you know, maybe not all the time, but oftentimes makes art with a message of activism, artivism, or issues. And like, what is the most, like, I know that can be hard sometimes, and I'm just curious about if you can share like some of your experiences around like overcoming some challenges when creating art that is maybe challenging for some people or, you know, not received in a good way, and like how you overcome that. If anybody has any feedback.
I guess when I do get criticism or like some feedback, I don't necessarily, I do. It's not always negative, but it's not a compliment at the same time. But whenever I do have something like that, just communicating with that person and seeing like what can be fixed or changed so that they do like it. And I guess like kind of, I'm sorry, Jerry, the first part of it.
Yeah, I'm just curious about like how you approach difficult situations if you're creating art that might have like a powerful message or something that, or, you know, that you're met with resistance, and how do you like respond to that as an artist?
So with the first sort of just whenever like a lot of collaboration with people, I feel like whenever I can encourage out ideas, it's definitely helpful. Like it's not new ideas to talk to people. It's not always the easiest, but even if you just like run something by someone, like color palettes is definitely something that I kind of struggle a lot with. Like Black people artists. But yeah, it's like always being open to change. It's just kind of how I guess.
I would also say just seeking out other artists that, are knowledgeable in what you want to do. Like, 2 years ago, I wanted to meet Pace because I also do a lot of collage art. So I, see that photo and she gave me a tutorial. So not being shy, but just reach out to people and ask for help.
I've been met with a little bit of, with public art, if they don't always agree with your design, right? They don't always want something that's going to be, change making, like, I did a mural for Collins and I sent them the mock-up and they were like, oh, they put in something abstract, and I'm like, that's not really what I do, so that's strange. But I've had friends who, other Black artists, my friend Kaylee, you guys, maybe know Kaylee Bender, she did another mural where she was just painting with her friend who happens to be Black, and they thought it looked too much like George Floyd, and then it was a political statement, and it was just a portrait of her friend. And so I think that when you run into those issues as an artist, it's important to stand your ground and just know that they're not the right client for you.
I will just add that I feel like a freak of nature in every room because I think super differently, and the mediums that I apply maybe are a little bit ahead of where people are. And so with the AR stuff, I have felt like a weirdo for a really long time. And I just learned to get comfortable being the weirdest person in the room. And I came to a place where I just said, maybe if I do this well enough, other people will start doing it too. And now everywhere I look, there's AR murals in Denver, and I don't feel like such a weirdo. So yeah, I think that's been my biggest challenge, is always just feeling misunderstood. But I think if you just do what you do well, eventually people will want to understand and make it. And it's also going to be weird. You have something to say? I got you.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify that I was thinking about tattooing and people's bodies and being able to change. I think most artists should kind of stand their ground as well with their designs. Like, sorry, just want to add that. Okay.
Yeah. Do you have a response to the recent, ban of the, like, the grocery code that's, yeah, do you have a response to that? I'm curious. Anger, rage. So within that article, the reason that, or maybe a backtrack, that Spring County in Pennsylvania removed, banned a bunch of books, one of which was Girls Who Code. And the reason that they cited was, that it was causing activist indoctrination, which that's not a thing. I'm angry. I think that there are a lot of powers at play that don't want the world to change because it is serving them. Which is why I'm so passionate about these things. Those powers at play control a lot of the things that affect our lives, whether it's the food that gets distributed to your neighborhood, the water that you have access to, what you get taught in school, all of these small things. And so preventing someone from learning something that could help them change the world is wrong. But that is why we as street artists have this incredible power to put a message on a wall where you can't stop someone from seeing it. And so till this changes, I will keep painting these things and make sure that young women, young people of color understand that there are people like them succeeding in these fields and that they can do it.
Amazing. I love panelists asking other panelists questions.
Does anyone else have any questions?
I got one question for Jessica. You mentioned that after painting a lot of things dealing, a lot of walls or works dealing with endangered species that you got tired of seeing. In working in subjects like endangered species, do you find it's a two-parter? do you find it frustrating that portraying an image that holds greater importance and plight, like an endangered species, is too often met with indifference? And how do you overcome that, if so, and feeling that, rather what contributed to you becoming tired of painting during that time?
I guess, and it wasn't balls, it was just small painting. I guess because I started painting to sell, like people were, I was getting tired of, painting what I thought other people would like. So I just stopped painting for a long time. And then decided to just take a jump and take a sculpture class, and then I got to a sculpture residency, and then it just. Yeah.
As an artist who's passionate about endangered species.
Yeah.
What do you think is the next push that we need to make to highlight that issue more fervently?
I mean, it's so interconnected, right? Endangered, like habitat loss, pollution, climate change are all causing species to decline. So I think, and overpopulation, it's such an interconnected issue. And sometimes it feels I feel a little powerless, you know? So, to get through that feeling, I think painting these animals makes me feel better, like I'm doing something. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, for all of you, if tomorrow the world was perfect and the thing that you paint about was fixed, what would you make?
That's good.
It's a hard question, yeah.
New wall. If everything was fixed, it would have paint. I probably paint the people around me who are just like living free, you know, and happy and just kind of living within that. But that's.
I guess. Maybe like. Don't listening to the first, I definitely people. In their communities, they will learn their cultures, and have all the knowledge that they should.
What about you, Ally? Are you gonna answer?
Answer your own question.
I think I would explore the abstraction that I grew up seeing in South America. It's like the thing that feels most comfortable to me, and that's why I include it in my work, but in this moment, the message I want to share feels important.
I like everyone's answers. I'm gonna answer this question too for fun. I think that if there were no issues to paint about, it would still reads me as being really important to continue painting and making work about these messages so that people don't forget, like, these are trends and they're historical and things only get better if you remember and keep after them. So I don't think that even if everything's perfect tomorrow, all of your messages would not be obsolete. It would still be an important part of our learning. Does anyone else have any questions? We're almost there on time, I think, but say one more. Okay. Awesome. I have one quick question, mainly to Jessica, Ciara, or Cante. Allie, I know she has this background in tech, and AR is very familiar to her. I want to hear a little bit more about, for anyone who has an opinion on it, like how the challenge has been to incorporate a digital piece into your mural work for this festival, and how you're thinking about using that to communicate your message.
So I'm really unfamiliar with AR, but I'm excited and it's opening up a lot of ideas in my head. So like I can see all the ideas I want to do, I just don't really know how I'm going to do it. But I think it's really exciting. It'll be super interactive for the people who want to rely.
For me, I'm a graphic designer, so as well, so, thankfully already kind of have a technical background. And I saw Ally's work actually, and kind of like, that gave me the inspiration to start using it in my pieces. I've probably done with that. And so that's why I've actually been experimenting with it on my own. It was a smaller barrier because I kind of already made some of those programs. But they are absolutely super easy, and I'm so excited to add all the extra dimensions to, you know, a 2D piece and have people feel like they're really part of the art. So I'm really excited to do it in, I've done it in personal projects, so I'm really excited to bring that to more of them.
Guess what, I'm a little, so I don't really like use too much technology, but now that I've heard apps that are definitely more forward to this, I guess. Overall, it's gonna have growth, so just like plants, movement, butterflies. Yeah, just growth.
Well, thank you guys for sharing with my personal questions. Appreciate that. I really appreciate you guys all being here. It's been really fun to hear about what you're working on and what you're passionate about. I hope that I speak for everybody. And then again, on behalf of Streetwise, I want to thank the Junkyard Social Club for both hosting and sponsoring this event. And we've had a ton of support for Mural Festival this year. We've had a couple of grant makers that have really made this possible. The National Endowment for the Arts, thank you so much. The Boulder County Arts Commission and FPA Give have all made this mural possible this year. So we're really, really grateful for that and really happy that we're able to support you guys so we can all be here. Everyone who's here or anyone who is watching us on the live stream, we do have tons more events this weekend. Come watch the artists paint. We have guided mural tours and bike mural tours and workshops coming up on spray painting and projection mapping if you want to start to move your way into AR as an artist. And then we also have another great event coming up here on Saturday at Junkyard Social Club. We're going to have an art party. It is going to be a fantastic fundraiser with lots of live entertainment, great food, and a wine bar. So come join us, support Streetwise, and enjoy the fun of the Junkyard Social Club with us. Thanks so much, everybody.